As I said, Jamin is playing, I'm playing, Bart, Dan, Greg, and Mark are all playing. Karen and Jay are facilitating. And as I said, we're part of the Design Science Studio, and there's something called the Design Science Decade that has 5 two-year cycles. The first cycle involves reconciliation and commitment. So my intention is related to the first 2-year cycle of this Design Science Decade. And the intention for this game, and for me, and this game will go on offline and over the months and years, is for this game is to inspire committed co-creators to join with us in designing and then launching Togetherland's pre-ICO called the Existential Prize. So we'll get into through the game about describing that. But the intention is to inspire committed co-creators to join us in designing and then launching it. So it's not just about launching it. I need a central cast of characters and what I call ringmasters to help design the strategy and the marketing of it, the story of it, and all of the different things that would go into launching something like a big infinite co-creative onboarding event for the end of this year. And then phase 2 will be the summer of 2022, which is in the decade of design, the iteration of capital transfer. So in the summer of 2022, we will all be standing together in person for a big playified, gamified manifestation event where we announce the full infinite co-creative onboarding into Togetherland, because the existential prize by then will have had billions of dollars in funding, thousands of acres in land, and trillions of dollars in assets and equipment, all gifted so that we may bring alive a world that works for all. And that's what the intention of this game is for today. Go ahead,
Fantastic.
Jay.
All right, so I'm going to pull a card here. I've been shuffling them up. Just going to pull one out of the middle here. And nice.
And we promise Jay does not build the deck. Everything that comes out is pure synchronicity and, flow.
No, it's my religion. So I'm going to just move in a little bit here. So Brett, looking at the image. So we always first look at the image, and so I'm going to go as close as I can here so you can get the picture, literally. And then we'll go to the words afterwards. So what does that mean to you? Could you see that fairly well?
Yeah, what's on the bottom part? It's like stars and... Okay, I'm good, Jay.
Yeah. So why don't you just riff on it for a couple of seconds on what the image means, and then we'll go to the words of what the game meaning is. Your meaning always goes first, then the game meaning, and then if anybody has something they want to relate or challenge, just go off mute and just say, I want to relate, just say the word relate or challenge, and that will be the cue. And we'll only have a few per person to come in. So if you have something really important that you want to add into the conversation. So what does that mean for you, Brett?
Well, I saw a landscape of stars. So for me, this represents almost an inner verse, an interior set of stars. I'm feeling, and it reminds me of the idea that we're all stars. That's what a co-creator is. A co-creator, I've changed a word to EUR, because a co-creator is a combination of auteur and entrepreneur and philanthropist and healer and co-creator. So what I'm inviting all of these ringmasters to become is these full whole body people with all these different talents. And we are all stars. That's what it brought up for me. That's what I'm looking for all of us to come into our full self-actualization.
So what the game meaning is, it's called Quantum Think. Quantum Think is the title. So every life circle has a title on the top and a task on the bottom, the game interpretation. And this one is make a bridge between worlds. What does that mean for you?
Make a bridge between worlds, yeah?
Yeah.
So quantum think.
Quantum think.
That's what we're doing here. quantum thinking. Togetherland is a world beyond transaction. It's a world where sufficiently advanced technologies are indistinguishable from magic. It's finally having us catch up to the science and mysticism that we're all aware of, and the non-dual nature of consciousness and love being the answer. So we are quantum thinkers in Togetherland, and the task is to bridge the next 10 years to be in that place where the world works for all, and to bridge the next year and then the next year, and take step by step and manifest this existential prize.
Beautiful. So what we're going to do here for this process is we're going to have one relate and one challenge per player. So we'll have enough time in that way. If you don't get to say what you want to say, please just write it down. And it could be something on a sidebar that could be given another reflection to Brett or the other players as we go along. But let's just, the strongest one, somebody has the strongest relate and one strongest challenge, that's really coming up that you want to support. Again, Brett in his journey here of manifestation. So who wants to come up with a relate or challenge?
I'm all about relating here. Give it to me. Lean on me. What do I do? How do I relate? I want to play.
Just share. So a relate is, I want to relate something to you. I want to connect with you a little deeper. I want to ask a question. I want to relate from my own background to help you in your journey. So what's your relate to Brett?
Oh, Brett, looking at that card, I'm here. I'm looking out, looking back in. I see you so clearly. We've been playing for years now, and it's coming to this moment of looking out, looking in. With you, I see all the stars on your horizon.
All right, I'm going to pull one of the relate cards now. And, it's one of these guys. Let's see. Which one, left or right? Mark.
Oh, the one in your hand. Yeah, no, the other one. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
That one. Yeah, that one.
Innocence. So you get to, the person who makes the relate gets to say what it means first, their interpretation. Then Brett will, since he's on stage, will be able to say what it means to him.
Beautiful. Innocence, 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 innocence. We enter curiosity with innocence. We flow through it, and we wonder. We wonder if we've actually looked out that other side of innocence, that sphere of knowing and knowing and not knowing, looking out, looking in. Pop my bubble of innocence.
Nice. Hey, Brett, how about you? What is the innocence as part of your story?
Thank you, Jurgis, for dropping in and playing some music in the background. Oh my God, it's so amazing to play the game. We've never played the game with homegrown organic music. It's freaking beautiful. And you will be welcome,
thank you, Jurgis.
if you want to. If you need to chime in with a relate through singing or a challenge, you just let us know, man.
It's the same.
Innocence. I love innocence. There is something beautiful about innocence, and we shouldn't ever forget that. People say we're ungrounded, we're impractical. You can't do that. You can't make a world that works for all. Oh, yes, we can, and yes, we will. And we must retain some of that innocence. And I think of William Blake and the songs of innocence and poetry, and I'm just loving you all so much. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, innocence is wonderful. Let's never forget it.
Nice. All right, we have a challenge coming. Who wants to take up the challenge role today with Brett on his?
I'm always down to.
There we go. I knew he was going to jump in right in the middle there.
Yeah. So when I saw the stars, and for some reason that image gave me this almost like outreaching desperation, right? And I felt like, as I was setting my intention to play the game, I was thinking about it. Now's the time to start acting with courage and with purpose. Right. And so to put myself in that risk-taking mode, to say, hey, I'm doing, and let's do it and then deal with the consequences. And so when you find yourself underneath the stars at night, things aren't going right. You're in, you're in some kind of survival mode. And when you pulled the innocence card, I was like, you only value innocence when you've almost lost it. You know, when you spend that night under the cold stars and you're vulnerable, that's when you most appreciate the time before you knew that pain. And so to kind of see where the kind of time for struggle, the time for advancement, and how we're kind of shedding some kind of innocence from that to move forward.
Nice. So the challenge is a couple words. What's the challenge?
Oh, we appreciate the innocence by losing it, by risking it.
Nice. So you got a warning sign, a yield sign. So you need to own the challenge, right? It comes back to you. So when you get a warning sign, it's kind of a reframe. You know, what does this mean to me? It's still both ways. So it'll have meaning for Brett, but right now you need to own that challenge or reframe it and incorporate the yield. What does the yield mean as part of that?
I'm reminded of a warning sign I took a picture of in Arabic in Jordan that said, "Don't go down this path." And I went down that path and it was just like this big, huge thing, right? And of course I didn't yield to the warning sign, but I got a great story out of it. So
nice. How about you, Brett?
You know, I said the other day, this card came up in a game. We like to create quantum connections and portals between different games. And it's still here alive for me. There was actually a Pearl Jam record called Yield, which was one of my favorite Pearl Jam records. So when I see that warning sign, I actually think of awesome music. Of all things, it's strange. You know, I just think of awesome music. I mean, that's how I relate to that Yield sign. It was on their cover of their album. And I think of making music, making art. And really this Regenaissance and the Design Science Studio and Togetherland, and my reason for being is to be an artivist, yeah? To take art and activism, Greg, right? So to risk the innocence through artivism. And I will yield, as Jay said in that game, I'm yielding to this intention. I am not settling for less. We will build a non-transactional, co-creative living system of co-creation that works for all, and Togetherland will be a catalyst for that. It won't be the full answer or the final answer, but I'm yielding to that intention and that vision. I'm not going to build anything less than that level of experience and existence that we want to share. So that's what came up for me.
Oive, can I relate to that with a Webster's dictionary to the word yield is a gradual course correction. Right on.
Nice.
So I have something to add. We have the bridge between worlds and the sphere of innocence happening. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
That's my.
Yep.
Is that a relate? Or
That's
is that an outburst?
It's relate. I'm really going to relate. I picked up on many things you were all saying.
I'm going to pull the relate card. We did technically say that we were just going to do one challenge relate, but since we're facilitating, so bottom line, we're going to add one more.
Well, so checks and balances. You know, the talking about the risk. You know, risking innocence. You don't want to risk it all, so that you can always retain that kernel and that seed, so that you could always repropagate with something that you've held dear to yourself. So risk, but not risk at all. That's what it means to me.
Okay, Brett, you want to tie it together here, and then you'll get to choose who's next.
Checks and balances, that's what I'm talking about. Holonic cryptocurrencies, SEES, holonic cryptocurrencies. This is how we get to the non-transactional. Checks and balances are for dinosaurs. Checks and balances are for the 20th century, man. We're going way beyond that. We're going with Holochain. You know, we're going with GaiaNet, my boys at GaiaNet there. We've got the Design Science Studio. We've got X the Game. We've got everything we need for the real check and balance. We're going to check and balance the destruction and separation on the planet. That's what we're going to check and balance. It ain't about economics.